This is the Abby Normal Podcast, here to tell you that you're weird and that's normal.
We're reuniting family members who've been separated for as long as 50 years, and then the second case was 35 years, I think. This is Jenene. Jenene did grow up knowing she was adopted, but she didn't have any information about her biological mother and no information about her father.
I mean, did you know that since you were
I did.
a child? Okay.
Yes, because all my brothers and sisters and I were adopted. Mm-hmm. So it was never like, we have to sit down and tell you something. It was always like, when we adopted you, you were wanted, you were desired. So it was never like a surprise.
Yeah. But you were brought up in a good family.
Oh, I had a great family. Yeah.
Are they still with us?
Yes. And they're so supportive and excited for me.
But you didn't know your biological parents at all?
No. And my parents were really supportive of us, trying to learn.
Did you ever wonder about your parents when you were little, when you were growing up?
Yeah, I always wondered where I got my looks. That was really important to me. Where did I get my small nose and my big hips? And, I want to know who to blame for that. But yeah.
And for me, I had a really good relationship with my dad, but my mom and I didn't. And so I spent most of my time thinking what was my mother like?
But there's a lot of questions. I was always curious about my medical background because I was born, I had some kind of unusual things. I had 6 fingers. And I kind of wondered what caused that and, just some kind of interesting things. So I was very curious.
Jenene was adopted. And there were things about her body that she was curious about. She wanted an explanation for those 6 fingers that she was born with. She wanted to look at a woman with lovely wide hips and think, that's where mine came from. You're hearing her on the infamous Sally Jessy Raphael show in 1994.
Can you put yourself in my shoes and know how wonderful it feels to be able to do this? It just feels so good. Some of my favorite shows, and I'm having a wonderful time.
Today, we're going to rewind and hear her full story, some of which we know now, and some that's still a big question mark. She does get answers, but now she understands that nothing comes in the order that we want it to. As a little girl, Jenene's most urgent questions were about her mother. She's going to describe those daydreams, and as we go, you'll hear her sister laughing a bit in the background.
There'd always been what's my real mom like? And as a little girl, I used to think maybe I was like a princess until I found out that they didn't give away royalty. So that was a little bit of a heartbreak, because I had my little fantasy about one day I'd find my mother and she would be a queen.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. I love it. People were saying I look like Betty Davis. I'm like, well, maybe I'm related to Betty Davis. I have Betty Davis eyes or whatever,
Yeah.
But yeah, so they're fantasies. But then as you get older, you start to, okay, so who is this person?
She wondered how it would feel to look like your family for real.
And I didn't look anything like my brothers or sisters. Mm-hmm. And so it was funny, like my older brother, we were 18 months different. And so when people found out we were brother and sister, I go, oh, yeah. And I'm like, no, there's no resemblance. We are adopted.
Right.
You know how people are when they find out you're brother
Every
and sister.
time, probably.
Oh, yeah, I could see it.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, you can't.
Her brother Jess has different biological parents. They were both adopted in Utah. So with her parents' support, they started looking.
And my mom even tried to help me they went to Utah where we were adopted in Utah, Jess, my older brother, and I, and they tried to get the envelope opened, but they're really strict there.
Yeah.
So, but they did try. And then Jess had actually found a company in Utah and he found his birth mother first.
Oh, okay.
And so when he found his birth mother, I was like, oh, well, okay. And I kept thinking maybe I need to wait till I'm ready. But then I thought, well, maybe, you're never ready. It's one of those things.
Yeah.
And so I had a piece of paper that basically just said, you were adopted in this state from this adoption agency. Your grandmother had blah, blah eyes. This is basics.
Okay.
Anything. So I sent in this piece of paper to this company. I don't remember what the company's name was. And I don't think it was that long, probably maybe a month or two. And I got a phone call. It was on Father's Day, which is like universe. And they said, okay, this doesn't happen very often, but in the process of looking for your mother, we found your father. And he'd been looking for you for 30 years. And that was just like, wait, what? You know?
Yeah.
It was like, wow. And so they gave me his number. And I remember trying to call him up and not getting him, and then realizing I was calling the work number instead of the home number because it was on Sunday. So I called him up, and the first thing out of his mouth was, "Is this a darling named Jenene?" Because he had a Texas accent.
Yeah.
I don't think I did that very well, but
That was pretty good.
And so we started talking, and he said, "I'm not an asshole. I didn't know about you. I would have kept you." Like, he just wanted the first thing he wanted me to know. So we decided that we were going to meet a month later. He was living in Colorado at the time, I think. And I remember going to a party that day and telling people and just being in shock and like, wow, I can't believe this. I can't believe this.
Yeah.
So that was on Sunday, Father's Day. That following Friday, I got a phone call and they said, "How would you like to meet your dad?" I'm like, "Wait, what?" And they said, "Well, the CEOs of the corporation that they found your birth father are doing the talk show circuits."
Oh.
And I've always loved to be on stage. I'm a singer and stuff. So I was like, sure, you know, if he will do it, I'll do it. And so that was on Friday. They flew us out on Sunday to New York, which was my first time in New York. And then we met Monday on Sally Jesse.
Yeah.
Great.
It's really great.
Are you ready to meet your father?
I'm so excited.
Jenene has a choppy shag haircut, dyed auburn. She's wearing a floral short sleeve dress, 90s style choker, and dark red lip. You know that she's toned it down.
Clay, come on out and meet your daughter.
Clay walks out in a suit and a big white cowboy hat, carrying an equally big white teddy bear. He hugs her real tight. It's sweet. He's crying. Her eyes are closed and she's smiling. They sit down on the couch.
Clay, I got to see if you've got big hips. And
No, she looks just like her mother.
all right, you have no idea about the daughter or how to find her, I should say.
No, y'all excuse me.
Give her the, that's all right. That's all right. Give her the flower and the teddy. I think she's, Aww.
He kisses her cheek and leans into a hug, his hand cradling the back of her head.
You must have a story to tell, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you explain?
Oh my gosh.
Did you watch the videos?
Oh, yes. It
Oh,
was
it's
amazing.
See, when I was trying to look as conservative, I had that total like mullet, like orange mullet.
Yeah. And what did they tell you about how they wanted you to look?
So they wanted me to look conservative. I had a nose ring. They made me take it out. They go,
Yeah.
"We just don't want to distract, people with the,
With the look.
with the look."
Well, it kind of cracked me up because he comes out with like a teddy bear.
Exactly.
It's like,
and he's a cowboy from head to toe. He's a Stenson cowboy.
Yeah.
Head to toe.
Oh my gosh. Were you expecting him to look like that?
No.
I mean, but the two of you together are just a fabulous TV duo. I mean, see what I feel like is a little punk rock chick,
Yeah.
with this guy in the cowboy hat. Yeah.
It was like he was as cowboy as they get, and I was trying to be as punk rock as I could get with it, but I wasn't able to because they wanted me to, look conservative as I could.
Before she walked out on that stage, she did have a little bit of information. Glowing reviews of her father.
But the funny thing was, so the night before, I had gone to St. Mark's Place, and I was meeting people, and people were like, "Oh, what are you doing here?" And so I was telling them my story. He was on the other side of town meeting people and telling them their story, and I guess he had been hanging out with the CEOs of the corporation that were there.
Oh, okay.
So they came to my room. When I got back to the hotel, they're like, "Oh, they want to meet you." And they said the partners wanted to meet you. And so when they said they were partners...
Oh,
Coming from San Francisco?
Yep.
I thought they were a couple. Anyway, that wasn't the case. But it was so funny. So they came to my hotel room and they're like, "Oh, we just left your dad.
Yeah.
He is so great." And, and so basically he was doing the same thing I was in the other, and then the part of New York.
Right.
But yeah, everybody who met him, "Oh, he's so great. He's so great." And even the next day when we were filming, we were separated in two different rooms. And I was sitting in the backstage waiting to film mine, and everybody coming out of his room were women. Every single one of them was like, "Your dad is just wonderful." I'm thinking, my dad's a big flirt. So we actually stayed another night and were able to do we did the boat around New York. We went to a karaoke bar.
Okay.
So that was fun. And
Yeah.
then they got us a different flight back so that we could stay extra. And they got us a limo to take us to the airport. And I got to meet his wife because we had a layover in Colorado. So I got to meet his wife.
Wow. Meeting your long-lost parent on national TV. Bebopping around New York City high on this twist in your life story. What an adventure. And it continued for a little bit as they got to know each other.
And I did go visit him. It was around the time the show aired, so people were recognizing us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, how funny.
Yeah, we were walking around different places. Oh, we saw you. So there had been times over the course of my life where people recognized me from the show.
Yeah. Oh, how funny.
Yeah.
Then came the inevitable crash back to real life.
You know, it's not always easy. Like you never know what. Like be careful for what you ask for, because I was excited to know this person, but I also didn't want to change my life. And he
Right.
wanted me to move there and work in his country western clothing store and change my whole life. And I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm sorry. His name was Clay. I'm sorry, Clay, but I'm happy to know you and get to know you, but I'm not changing my life.
Right.
But when I think about, he had 30 years of looking for me, and I just, there's Clay.
Right. Right.
Because I never thought about him. I was always more about my mother than
Right.
my father, because
Yeah.
I had, a good relationship. So it was kind of interesting. The universe sent him first.
Mm-hmm.
So there was some Clay's calling, kind of hiding out a little bit. Oh my gosh.
I mean, I can imagine that, you wanted that itch scratched of who are these people that biologically created me.
Yeah.
But also, you may or may not need to have an ongoing relationship with them, right?
Yeah.
That's not. It doesn't need to be part of the package.
Yeah. I was happy to know. I feel blessed that I got to, but it wasn't always. There was some stuff that came up later, and it was hard because there was a lot of pressure from him to come into his life and be there, and and I didn't really connect to my. I had two half sisters and a half brother. Just didn't connect to them. I mean, I'm glad to know they're out there, but I have a family, so it was it was just a little bit I felt I had a little guilt about that.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, let's rewind to what we know of Clay's story. How did Jenene come to be? And how did the 35-year separation happen?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you explain, since you're the only one we've got, explain what happened?
Well,
Thank you. There you go.
men ain't supposed to do this, right?
No, men do that. Real men do that, so that's okay.
Well, about 32 years ago, I was a military man. I was stationed in Denver, Colorado.
Okay.
And as servicemen do, you meet young ladies, and we had an affair. And so after a period of time, one day she said something to the effect, "I think I'm pregnant." And I said, "Well, please go to a doctor and have the doctor confirm." And so she came and said, "No, everything's fine."
She was not pregnant.
She was not pregnant.
She had lied to him about being pregnant. She'd gone to him and said, "I think I might be pregnant." And he said, "Well," in the video, he says, "Well, find out, let me know." And then she came back and said she didn't. And I get why she didn't tell him. She didn't want to trap him. They weren't in love. But it's he didn't know about me until she called him a year later to say, "Well, you do have a daughter."
And so a year later, I had already married, and I got a phone call one night and says, "Congratulations, you're a daddy."
So what happened was she had called him after she had given me up and lied and said, I wasn't sure. I'm getting married to this military man. I might keep her. But I think she wanted him to know that he did have a daughter.
Okay.
And by then he had gotten, I think they were married and
Uh-huh.
had a kid on the way. So it happened all really fast. My guess is she probably felt guilty because it had been a year.
But at that point,
By that time,
already...
I was adopted 3 days out of
Right.
right out of the hospital.
Yep.
3 days my parents got me.
And she said, well, I have going with the gentleman, and the people that I was with when Jenene was born was wanting to take her in for adoption. And I said, well, let me know what you're going to do. Well, I'm a man. I had a lot of questions about, well, is Jenene really mine? I mean, there's all kinds of things in there. So anyway, I said, let me know. And so she said, okay. Well, I never heard from her again.
Never heard from the woman again.
Never again. And so as a consequence...
Now, all these years, how many years ago?
31.
31 years ago, in the back of your mind, the woman said she wasn't pregnant and suddenly she is. You never saw the baby. It could have been a joke. It could have been any one of a number of things. I wonder if I have a child, right?
Exactly.
And then what?
And then I had that question for a lot of years. Now, when she had been about 5 years old, I'm a little older, I'm a little more mature, and I understand what's going on in the world, and I'm packing a lot of baggage because you have that question in the back of your mind.
Sure.
So I started looking for her, and actually I was looking for her mother because if I could find her mother, where is she?
Right.
And so, anyway, I was chasing the dead horse because it turned out, as I found out last Sunday, Father's Day, that she had been adopted. And I didn't even know what her name was or anything else.
Have you ever found the woman who was her mother? Have you, Jenene? Are you still
We're
trying
looking.
to find?
I'd love to find her.
But you have no idea where she is.
No, the locators are still looking for her. And
Right.
we're hoping maybe through the show or something.
Dad, what do you think about her?
The show did not offer any leads on the whereabouts of Jenene's mom. But she and Clay did not stop looking. And Clay especially was like a dog with a bone. For 15 years, he continued looking, trying to answer Jenene's final question.
It was about 15 years later, I'd had a relationship with them, and Clay calls me up and says, don't get your panties in a bunch, but I think we found your mom. So he had figured out that she had married a military man, and one day he just Googled him and found out the guy had died, but he had a twin sister, and I don't know if he called the sister or how, but somehow he got through a number to get to Julie, our half-sister, and through there he got Vicky.
He found Vicky, Jenene's biological mother, and it wasn't a moment too soon.
The crazy thing was Vicky had been in the hospital. She had coded, basically died. There was told her it wasn't her time. She came back out, went into rehab, and then the week she got back from rehab was when Clay found her.
So weird.
Yeah, and I just go, okay, the universe is just working all over the place.
Right.
It was pretty amazing. Like we found out, like I was talking to her so much that I got in trouble with my phone. I have a phone group. And they're like, okay, we're using too many minutes.
Right, yes,
too many data.
back in the day where you had to count your minutes.
Yeah, exactly. So it was amazing just getting to know her and finding out I looked just like her. Seriously, she sent me pictures of her baby face and oh my God. And then we were walking and I could see our legs. I got the big hips, and the legs, got the calves. But yeah, I look just like her.
Yeah.
And we have a lot in common. Like she loved movies, she loved music. So we had a lot in common. We talked for about a month and nobody knew about
You and Vicky talked.
Yeah.
Nobody knew about Jenene's existence. So it was time for secrets to be forced to the surface.
It took about a month. And I was like, Vicky, you got to tell somebody. You basically died. If you died, nobody knows I'm here.
Right.
So she told her best friend, and then she told, slowly, and finally she told her daughters.
Okay.
And Jenny was right away excited about meeting me. Julie, that's so funny. Julie wasn't.
I need to draw a tree right now.
Seriously.
Track of everything. Oh my gosh. Okay. It's not that complicated. There's just a lot of J names. So dad is Clay. Mom is Vicky. Janine's half-sisters are Jenny and Julie. And it turned out that Jenene was only the first of Vicky's secrets or untruths to be revealed.
It was good getting to know her, but there was a lot of stuff. She was emotionally a big mess. When I met her, we started talking. She had been disowned by her parents when she married, the first time she married out of her faith, because she was Orthodox Jew. And she did not want her daughters to know this. I guess she didn't want them to know the grandparents had done this. So she had told them that her parents and sister had died in a car crash. And I did not know this.
Jenene did not know this. So first, the secret came to light that she existed. And then when she connected with her half-sisters, another cat was out of the bag.
And so I remember talking to Jenny and saying, that really sucks what they did to our mom. And she didn't know what I was talking about. It's like, well, wait, what are you talking about? I'm like, oh, what are you talking about? And so the next day I get a call from Vicky crying and upset. And she's like, why did you tell them? I didn't want him to know, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, Vicky, this is who you are. They're going to understand. It's why, it's like, it's part of who you are.
Right.
And so she told them the truth. Jenny was like, she didn't even know they were Jewish.
Right.
They're Jewish blood. Russian Jew. We're Russian Jew. Vicky started telling everybody, and then I got to meet them. And that was kind of crazy going out there and meeting them. And, let's look at each, what do we have the same? Jenny and I look the most alike. Like, we look like Vicky. And then Julie, she's the youngest. She looks like her dad.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is Jenene meeting her biological mother, Vicky, in person for the first time.
Oh, we made you wait.
Oh my God, you're beautiful.
What do you think, you guys? We look alike.
Definitely.
Vicky, this is going to be on Facebook, so say hi to everybody. All my friends are going to see it. Yeah, all my friends are going to see it.
Hi. It's like a dream come true. Oh, God. I just can't believe it.
They hug for so long and then lean back slightly and look at each other, still holding on tight.
I can't let you go. Oh. Do I look like I thought I would?
You look exactly like your pictures, yeah.
Do I?
I can see our face shape. It's totally, we have the forehead.
Oh.
Wow, I can't believe this day is here.
Girl, my older daughter.
That's right.
They do look alike. I mean, Jenene is stylish in a black dress, dark, cute shag hair, and Vicky's older in a purple sweater, jeans, pixie hair. But they do have the same big, dreamy eyes and little button nose. During the visit, they swapped photos from their lives. Jenene pulled out a picture from when she first moved to San Francisco, and Vicky responded, "You really cut loose, didn't you?" It was a sweet time. But even then, Vicky wasn't in the best health. So after their visit, Jenene found ways to connect, long distance.
I knew she loved movies and she couldn't go to the theaters. And so I would do BitTorrents. Remember BitTorrents?
Yes.
I would download, burn, and send her CDs or DVDs so that she could see the movies that were playing. So I did a lot of that and music. So yeah.
Good.
So we did share that. And I remember when the Oscars were coming up, we would spend a lot of time talking about the Oscars. So we had a lot of that in common. I think she had a good heart. I think she was just really broken. And I think there was some, I don't know. The thing is, it's hard to know what was real because some of the stuff feels like maybe mentally, emotionally, she was, she had tried to kill herself after she had her last daughter and was in an institution for a year and had shock treatment.
Oh, God. Okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, seriously, it was like a Lifetime movie.
Yeah.
Like, it seriously could be, And I think there might have been some molestation also that she started remembering from her childhood. So.
There was no diagnosis that you know of as far as mental illness?
No.
Vicky passed away not long after that first meeting. How did you feel when she passed?
It's so different. It's so different, compared to like my mom, that raised me and was my mom, right? It's like she was my birth mother. I'm happy I got to know her, but it was just different. It's different. That wasn't that intensity. That I was kind of more relieved for her that she's not, because she was on oxygen and, not doing too good.
Yeah. You never really knew her like physically well.
No. We spent a lot of time talking.
She was relieved that Vicky was released, and she had her own realization.
After Vicky had called me up that day and was upset that I had told her daughters, I remember calling my mom crying, going, I'm so thankful. We had a hard time, Mom, but thank you for not lying to me. Because, the more I got to know what my life would have been like, the more I was so grateful for my life.
When Vicky passed, Jenene also felt good about what she helped to accomplish, opening the windows of this family, clearing out the secrets, so that Vicky could leave with a clear conscience, and all of her daughters could live authentically, knowing truly who they are.
So here I am. Vicky she's on oxygen. She's going to die. She's in hospice. We surprise her for her birthday. I've been so proud, feeling like all the lies are out into the, I've helped bring out, all this truth into the family.
Yes.
The things that needed to be said were said.
Right.
And, and it's like, okay, she can die with a clear conscience.
Yeah. But it turned out that there was more that they didn't know. Tune in next time for a bombshell discovery in Jenene's story. A story that, of course, is not hers alone, but that of a bloodline.
Michelle comes along and hold my beer.
Here I am.
So I thought I was the big secret in the family.
Nope. Here I am.
Yeah.
Singing with her band, the Hyperdrive Kittens.
Rendezvous down at the 6th Street Rendezvous.